Today we're going to talk about a change in demand or supply. For the record, if you don't know already, we use the delta symbol in economics just to say the word change because we end up using it a lot. Okay, so this goes back to a couple of videos ago where we were looking at a demand curve or a supply curve shifting to the left or to the right. So once we put them together and we're looking at equilibrium, we need to figure out, okay, you're at equilibrium, but then there's a change in overall demand, or there's a change in overall supply. What's going to happen? As we go through the analysis, we have to remember the old demand curve, you're still going to see it on the diagram, but it's almost helpful if you could just kind of make it disappear. All that really matters is the old price that was there. So you really have to focus, once you have a new demand curve or supply curve, to focus on the new and forget about what the old curve was saying, except for the old price. Again here, what we're going to see is market forces are going to eliminate a surplus demand or surplus supply, that is scarcity or shortage, or excess demand, excess supply. And again, what we're going to see is that price is always going to move towards equilibrium, and that's our idea of a price mechanism. Basically, this is explaining how prices move from one place to the other after there's a change in demand or a change in supply. Okay, so what we're going to see here is if we have scarcity, what we have to think about is there's going to be competition, right? There's not enough products. There's 100 people who want to buy it at that price, but maybe only 50 available, like we said yesterday. So there's not enough products for people. So again, the consumers, the people who want to buy it, they're going to start competing against each other. That's going to drive price up. The result of higher price, again, is that demand is going to fall, right? People are going to be eliminated because they're not willing to pay the higher price, or maybe they're not able to pay the higher price. And then supply is going to be driven up, not down, because again, now it becomes more valuable for a supplier to do this. Let's take a quick break here and let's talk about what I said over here. It's important we understand you can look at this in two ways. You could try to make it an example like what I've said, there's 100 available, and 100 people who want a product and only 60 available. If that's true, we can certainly agree that demand would fall as price goes down. But then the second part doesn't seem to make as much sense. It's not as if, if we're talking about bicycles or something like that, when the price starts to climb, we can't just magically produce bicycles. It takes a significant amount of time to get that to happen. So it's fine to look at it that way, but we are kind of looking at like our various possibilities. So it's more like, if I put the price at $100 for the bicycle, 100 people would want it, but only 60 people would want to supply it. So 100 would be demanded and only 60 supplied. What if I put the price higher at 150? Oh, well, less people would want it and more people would want to supply it. So we see that those are getting closer together. So you have to think about this maybe more like you're looking into a crystal ball or something like that, especially when you're talking about the change in quantity supplied. If you look here, so if we look at a surplus where there's extra, well, to clear the surplus out, we would have to drive the price down. So again, lower price is going to cause quantity demanded to fall, and it will cause quantity supplied to fall, but again, not immediately, right? If you've got 40 extra of the product or 50 extra of the product that haven't been sold, when the price falls, it's not as if those start to disappear. Okay, so we just have to remember that we're kind of talking about looking into a crystal ball and looking at your different options. The other way is fine to look at too, but you can kind of confuse yourself a little bit if you're not careful. Okay, when we graph this, when we look at this on a diagram, I'm going to have you guys practice this as we go along. So I'll do the first one, and then I'll have you guys try the second ones on your own, and then see how you did. So if you want, put this on pause real quick and draw this just the way that I have it drawn. You'll notice that I've left a few things out over here. Okay, for increase in demand, again, ignore the supply curve at first and remember that we're talking about an increase along the Q axis. What that means is if I take the original price, and let's call this P1 now, and Q1, if I take the original price and there's an increase in demand, at that same price, more would be demanded. So we'd be over here at Q2. I'm not going to draw it because I'm going to save that for something else. So we remember here that an increase in demand shifts the demand curve to the right, and okay, that's that. Let's go ahead and look here after the curve is shifted. Now remember, the first thing I said on the last slide was we have to forget about the original demand curve. Pretend it never was there. It's not helping us anymore. Okay? So imagine that it's gone. But remember, price is going to take a little bit to adjust. It's not just going to magically change. Now, again, this could be, if they figure out that frozen peas have a significant effect on reducing obesity or something like this. Okay? Well, the second that information comes out that this is true, there's going to be an increase in demand. Taste for peas or frozen peas will have significantly increased. But even though it happens immediately, it's going to take price a little bit to adjust. It's not like it can just change overnight. So what we need to look at is the old price and compare it to the new demand curve and then the same supply curve. Remember, we're not going to change supply in this situation as well. You will see a change in quantity supplied, but overall supply isn't going to change. We're not going to see this curve shift. So if we look back at P1, what we can see is Q1 is really now the quantity supplied at that price. And then way over here, Q2 is the quantity demanded. So what we see is that quantity demanded is greater than quantity supplied. And we know that that's our description of scarcity or excess demand. Well, so we're going to see competition amongst these buyers, and as they compete, the price is going to go up. As the price goes up, notice what happens on the supply curve. As the price goes up, the opportunity cost of making other products increases, and the opportunity cost of making this product, frozen peas, decreases, so suppliers are going to start to make more and more and more of this product as the price goes up. Now again, what I said on the other one, we have to remember we're kind of looking into a crystal ball here to figure out how it would go. So we're going to have this happen, right? Quantity demanded is going to decrease. It will decline, and at the same time, quantity supplied is going to increase. That will continue to happen until we reach a point of equilibrium, until we reach a point where they balance, okay? Once we've got that, our point of equilibrium obviously is going to be there. So we'll call this Q star. Sometimes maybe we would have called this Q star 1 and then Q star 2. Again, those ways of numbering, they're not really right or wrong. It's just whatever works for you. So we've got Q star and P star, and we have a new equilibrium. Okay. Down here, we're going to do decrease in demand. So I want you guys to do this on your own. Go ahead and put this on pause, and I'll do it real quickly, and we'll compare our results. Include some things over here on the side, just like I did here. Okay, so here's what we've got. It should look something like this. So quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded. Here's quantity supplied. There's quantity demanded. So we see quantity supplied is further to the right. This oversupply or surplus, they're going to have to put on sale to get rid of their extras. So the price will decrease. As the price decreases, quantity supplied goes down because the opportunity cost of making this product is now increasing, and the opportunity cost of making other products, different products, is decreasing. Quantity demanded starts to go up, becomes more affordable. This would be the income effect, right? Basically, they're becoming more wealthy because the price of this product is going down. Okay, so did forget one thing there and there. That's going to be our new Q star and P star. Okay, let's look at increases in supply. Now, I didn't fill in anything to start with here because there's a mistake people always make with supply. I think I'll draw right here real quick and then I'll erase. When we look at a demand curve, and I do that, demand one and demand two. For some reason, to most of our eyes, that looks like an increase because basically it went up and to the right. And both of those kind of suit our idea of what up is, okay, or increasing is. Remember though, in economics, we only care about the Q axis. We don't care what's happening to price. So a lot of times, people really struggle to keep the supply curve right. And they see this, and they go, okay, well, here's the supply curve, so an increase in supply, and they go the wrong way. They think, oh, okay, well, this is up, this is above it, so that must be an increase. Well, remember, if we do our analysis correctly, if we go from a single price, remember, we always start with price first in economics. If we go from a price down to the axis, we see that this quantity is actually smaller than that. So what we're showing here is actually a decrease in supply, not an increase. And again, a lot of people struggle with getting this right in the beginning. So just look out for that, okay? So let's show an increase in supply. So I'll help you out, I'll get you started. This is gonna be S1 and S2. So our original equilibrium is there. And then I want you to go ahead and work through and fill the rest out. Again, use this space over here to make some conclusions like we did here and there. You notice here that I did a few things. First of all, I pointed that, hey, this is kind of the same as what we see down here. So we do see an oversupply still. We see there's this many supplied and that many demanded, so that's too much. And again, that means price is going to decrease. Well, again, when price decreases, quantity supplied goes down and quantity demanded goes up. Okay, so that's all consistent. One thing to notice though, and this is kind of just your knee-jerk response, if we start here and we go, okay, well, we want a product more. Well, if you want a product more, what's going to happen to the price? It's going to go up. And if you want a product more, what's going to happen to the quantity demanded or equilibrium quantity? Well, we can imagine that's going to go up as well. Okay, so here you saw price went up and quantity went up. Here was our original equilibrium and there was our second equilibrium. Down here, just the opposite. We want a product less, we demand it less. So again, price is going to fall and quantity, equilibrium quantity is going to fall as well. Here though, we actually see it changes. So our logic here is the same, but our outcomes on the Y and X axis, they're going to be a little bit different. So here it's an increase in supply. And again, we haven't said that there's going to be any sort of increase in demand. So we want it just as much as we used to. Our demand curve is the same, but now there's more. Okay, well, if you want to sell your more stuff and I don't want it anymore, well, how are you going to sell it to me? Well, you have to lower price. So we see price falls and then quantity, equilibrium quantity does increase. Okay, last one down here, go ahead and fill it in on your own. I'm not going to help you out here. So see how you do. So again, that's essentially it. Always in this, we're seeing an oversupply or an undersupply, that is a surplus or a scarcity. And that's what we talk about as a market force. When we talk about market forces are going to equalize everything, that's how market forces are how we always work back, how we work back to equilibrium in all of these. So that's market forces, and again, in a different way, we can specifically talk about the price. Well, why did the price change? Well, a mechanism always is something that does something else, right? I mean, a mechanism in my watch makes my watch work and watch spin. So again, if someone were to say, well, if this is a decrease in supply, maybe the price of oil, why did the price of oil go up? Oh, well, because there's a decrease in supply, and then we can explain the price change here. So it's the mechanism by which price is set.